The air hung heavy with the acrid scent of smoke, a constant reminder of the dragon war that had ravaged the valley for 1,000 years. Anya, a young woman with sun-kissed skin and eyes the color of the sky, trudged through the ruins of what was once Willowbrook, her village. Crumbling stone walls, charred timbers, and the skeletal remains of homes painted a grim picture of the conflict's toll. Yet, Anya refused to succumb to the bitterness that had consumed her fellow villagers. She had heard the tales of dragon atrocities, of fire raining from the sky and villages reduced to ash. But a flicker of doubt always lingered in her heart. There was a curiosity, an empathy within her that questioned the absolute condemnation of these creatures. Deep within the forbidden whispering woods, a young dragon named Ember soared through the dense canopy, her scales shimmering like molten gold in the dappled sunlight. Unlike her brethren, who reveled in the war and their reputation as fearsome predators, Ember harbored a secret fascination with humans. She had spent countless hours observing them from afar, studying their language, their customs, their art. Ember yearned for connection, for understanding, but the war had created an unbridgeable chasm between their two worlds. One day, as Anya wandered further into the whispering woods, seeking solace from the village's despair, she stumbled upon a hidden clearing. In the center, bathed in moonlight, stood Ember, her wings folded gracefully, her eyes filled with an intelligence that belied her fearsome reputation. Anya felt no fear, only an overwhelming sense of curiosity. She reached out a hesitant hand, and Ember responded, her mind brushing against Anya's in a silent, telepathic greeting. In that moment, a bond was forged, a connection that defied the hatred and prejudice of 1,000 years. The clearing became a sanctuary of shared stories and whispered secrets. Anya spoke of the human world, of music and laughter, of love and loss. Ember shared tales of the dragon's ancient history, their complex society, and the sorrow of isolation. Through their telepathic connection, Anya learned of Ember's ostracism, her rejection by her own kind for her empathy towards humans. Ember, in turn, discovered Anya's growing doubts about the war, her refusal to accept the blind hatred that fueled the conflict. One moonlit night, as they delved deeper into their shared past, Ember led Anya to a hidden alcove within the whispering woods. The walls were adorned with intricate murals depicting dragons and humans living in harmony, their figures intertwined in scenes of celebration and collaboration. "These are memories from before the war," Ember explained, her voice echoing in Anya's mind. "A time when dragons and humans shared this land, learning from each other, respecting each other's ways." Anya's heart quickened. She had never heard such tales, only stories of dragonfire and destruction. Ember continued, her voice filled with sorrow. But those memories were buried, replaced by fear and hatred. A sorcerer, consumed by greed, sowed discord between our people, manipulating events to ignite the flames of war. As Anya listened, a sense of outrage grew within her. The war she had known her entire life was built on a lie, a deliberate manipulation of history. She realized that the dragons, like the humans, were victims of this deception. In that moment, Anya knew that she had to uncover the truth, to expose the lies that had fueled 1,000 years of bloodshed. And in Ember, she found an unlikely ally, a dragon who shared her yearning for peace and understanding. Guided by Ember's knowledge of forgotten pathways, they embarked on a treacherous journey through the war-torn land. They traveled under the cloak of night, evading the watchful eyes of both human patrols and dragon scouts. Anya, accustomed to the comforts of village life, found herself tested by the harsh wilderness. Ember, in turn, discovered the vulnerability of her human companion, shielding her from the elements and guiding her through treacherous terrain. As they trekked through ancient forests and scaled towering mountains, their bond deepened. They shared stories of their respective cultures, their hopes and dreams for a future free from conflict. Anya learned of the dragon's intricate social structures, their reverence for knowledge, and their deep connection to the natural world. Ember marveled at the human capacity for resilience, creativity, and the unwavering spirit that had endured 1,000 years of war. One night, as they huddled together for warmth beneath a starry sky, Ember shared a prophecy she had discovered in the depths of the dragon archives. It spoke of a time when a human and a dragon would bridge the chasm between their worlds, their alliance bringing an end to the war and ushering in an era of peace. Anya's heart raced. Could she be the human foretold in the prophecy? And could Ember, with her outcast status and empathy for humans, be the dragon destined to unite their people? The weight of responsibility settled upon their shoulders, but it was a burden they shared willingly, their bond strengthened by the hope of a brighter future. As they continued their journey, their determination grew. They knew the path ahead would be fraught with peril, but they also knew that the fate of their worlds rested on their shoulders. The alliance between Anya and Ember, once an improbable friendship, had transformed into a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of connection and understanding in a world consumed by conflict. Their first destination was the Dragon's Peak, an imposing volcanic mountain shrouded in perpetual smoke. Anya, clinging to Ember's back, felt a surge of awe and trepidation as they approached the fiery domain. Ember navigated the treacherous updrafts and swirling ash clouds, landing on a hidden ledge overlooking the dragon's council chamber. Inside, the elders debated the war's progress, their voices echoing with the rumble of the volcano. Using her telepathic connection, Ember projected images of the murals and the forgotten scrolls into the minds of the elders. The council chamber fell silent as the dragons absorbed the revelations, their faces etched with shock and disbelief. Some elders scoffed at the notion, dismissing the evidence as human trickery. Others, however, were troubled by the inconsistencies in their own history, the missing pieces that Ember's revelations filled. A ripple of dissent spread through the council, fueled by Ember's impassioned plea for peace. Among the dragons, a young firebrand named Pyros emerged as a vocal supporter, his rebellious spirit resonating with Ember's message. Their next destination was Kingshaven, the human capital, a sprawling city fortified against dragon attacks. Anya, disguised in a traveling merchant's cloak, led Ember through the labyrinthine streets, seeking an audience with the king. The king's throne room was a spectacle of opulence, adorned with tapestries depicting victorious battles against dragons. The king himself, a stern-faced man with a crown of gold and a heart hardened by war, listened to Anya's plea with skepticism. But when Anya presented the scrolls and shared Ember's testimony, a flicker of doubt appeared in the king's eyes. He, too, had questioned the endless cycle of violence, the toll it had taken on his kingdom. Anya and Ember's words planted seeds of doubt and curiosity in the hearts of both dragons and humans. The path to peace was still uncertain, but their journey had ignited a spark, a glimmer of hope that perhaps, after 1,000 years of war, a new dawn was on the horizon. In the days that followed, whispers of dissent turned into murmurs of rebellion. The seeds of doubt sown by Anya and Ember had taken root, spreading through the cracks of the war-weary societies. Among the humans, a young dragon rider named Kale, disillusioned by the endless cycle of violence, found himself drawn to Anya's message of peace. He had witnessed firsthand the dragon's intelligence and emotional depth, qualities that contradicted the propaganda fed to him since childhood. Kale sought out Anya, sharing his own experiences and offering his support. He had access to knowledge and resources that could aid their cause, a network of like-minded individuals who longed for an end to the conflict. Meanwhile, within the dragon community, Ember's revelations resonated with an elder named Ilara, a wise and respected figure known for her diplomatic skills. Ilara had long harbored doubts about the war's justification, sensing a deeper truth hidden beneath the layers of animosity. Ember and Elara joined forces, rallying support among the dragons who questioned the war's purpose. They sought out the ostracized and the marginalized, those who had been silenced for their dissenting views. The movement for peace gained momentum, fueled by a shared desire for understanding and reconciliation. Anya, Ember, Kale, and Elara became the faces of this growing rebellion, their voices amplified by the whispers of hope that spread throughout the land. They organized secret gatherings in hidden groves and secluded caves, sharing the truth of the war's origins and fostering a sense of unity among those who dared to dream of a different future. The path to peace was still fraught with danger, but the growing movement gave Anya and Ember a renewed sense of purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but they also knew that they were not alone. The seeds they had planted were beginning to sprout, promising a harvest of hope in a land scarred by war. The growing discontent reached a tipping point when Anya and Ember organized a demonstration in the heart of Kingshaven. With Kale and Elara by their side, they stood before the assembled masses, their voices amplified by Ember's powerful roar. Anya recounted the tale of the sorcerer's deception, the forgotten murals, and the prophecy that foretold their alliance. She spoke of the shared pain and loss suffered by both humans and dragons, the countless lives wasted in a senseless conflict. Ember, in turn, shared her own experiences of ostracism and longing for connection. She spoke of the dragons' reverence for knowledge and their desire for peaceful coexistence with humans. Their words resonated with the crowd, sparking a wave of outrage and introspection. The king and the dragon elders, present at the demonstration, were forced to confront the undeniable truth of their shared history. The peace seekers' message spread like wildfire, igniting a fervor for change that swept through both kingdoms. The leaders, facing mounting pressure from their own people, reluctantly agreed to initiate peace talks. The negotiations were fraught with tension and mistrust, as old wounds and ingrained prejudices surfaced. But Anya and Ember, with their unwavering belief in the possibility of peace, served as a bridge between the two sides. They facilitated communication, fostering understanding and empathy between the delegates. They shared stories of personal loss and shared aspirations, reminding everyone of the common ground that existed beneath the surface of conflict. As the talks progressed, a fragile hope began to emerge. The possibility of peace, once a distant dream, seemed within reach. But the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. The entrenched powers on both sides, those who benefited from the war's continuation, would not relinquish their control easily. The peace seekers knew that they had ignited a spark, but they also knew that the true battle for peace had only just begun. As the peace talks continued, tensions simmered beneath the surface. The warmongers, threatened by the prospect of peace, plotted in the shadows, seeking to sabotage the negotiations and maintain their grip on power. In Kingshaven, a faction of nobles loyal to the old ways conspired against the king, spreading rumors of dragon treachery and inciting fear among the populace. They sought to undermine the peace talks and rally support for a renewed offensive against the dragons. Meanwhile, at the Dragon's Peak, a group of firebrands led by a fierce warrior named Draken challenged Elara's authority. They argued that peace with humans was a sign of weakness, a betrayal of their ancestral heritage. They vowed to disrupt the negotiations and reignite the flames of war. Anya and Ember, aware of the growing threats, found themselves caught in a dangerous crossfire. They became targets for both human and dragon extremists, who saw their alliance as a threat to their power and ideology. One night, as Anya and Ember met in secret with Kale and Elara to discuss the peace talks' progress, they were ambushed by a group of masked assailants. The peace seekers fought back valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Kale, skilled in combat, held off the attackers while Anya and Ember, guided by Elara's wisdom, escaped through a hidden passage. They fled into the whispering woods, seeking refuge in the heart of the ancient forest. As they ran, Anya and Ember knew that their lives were in danger, but they also knew that they could not give up. The fate of their worlds, the hope of peace, rested on their shoulders. They had to find a way to expose the warmongers' plots and ensure that the truth prevailed. Deep within the whispering woods, Anya and Ember sought refuge in an ancient tree hollow, its gnarled roots forming a natural shelter. Elara, weakened but determined, had used her knowledge of herbal remedies to treat their wounds. "They will not stop," Elara whispered, her voice raspy. "The warmongers will not rest until they have silenced us and extinguished the hope for peace." Anya's heart sank. They had come so far, only to be driven back into hiding. But Ember, her eyes blazing with defiance, refused to surrender. "We cannot let fear dictate our actions," Ember said, her voice echoing in Anya's mind. "We must find a way to expose their treachery and rally those who believe in peace." Together, they devised a plan. Anya, with Kale's help, would infiltrate the nobles' secret meeting in Kingshaven. Ember, using her telepathic abilities, would gather evidence of Draken's plot to sabotage the peace talks. Anya, disguised as a servant, slipped into the opulent mansion where the nobles gathered. She listened from the shadows as they discussed their plans to spread disinformation and sow discord among the populace. Anya's heart pounded with both anger and fear, but she steeled herself, knowing that she had to gather the evidence they needed. Meanwhile, Ember soared through the night sky, her senses heightened as she sought out Draken and his followers. She found them in a secluded cavern, plotting their next move. Using her telepathic abilities, Ember delved into their minds, extracting their secrets and recording their conversations. As dawn broke, Anya and Ember reunited in the Whispering Woods, their hearts filled with both dread and determination. They had the evidence they needed to expose the warmongers, but they knew that time was of the essence. They had to act swiftly before their enemies could further undermine the peace talks and plunge their worlds back into war. Anya and Ember raced back to Kingshaven, their hearts pounding with urgency. They sought out the king, presenting him with the evidence they had gathered: the nobles' treasonous plot and Draken's plan to sabotage the peace talks. The king, initially skeptical, was shaken by the undeniable proof. He had underestimated the lengths to which the warmongers would go to maintain their power. He realized that the fate of his kingdom, the future of his people, rested on his decision. With a heavy heart, the king ordered the arrest of the treacherous nobles. He then summoned the dragon elders, sharing the evidence of Draken's treachery and demanding his expulsion from the council. The elders, though initially resistant, were swayed by the overwhelming proof. They had long suspected Draken's ambition and his disregard for the well-being of their people. They stripped him of his rank and banished him from the Dragon's Peak. The removal of the warmongers sent shockwaves through both kingdoms. The peace-seekers' cause gained renewed momentum, their message of unity and understanding resonating with the people who yearned for an end to the conflict. Anya and Ember, hailed as heroes, addressed a jubilant crowd in Kingshaven's central square. They spoke of the importance of empathy, communication, and the power of challenging ingrained beliefs. Their words inspired hope and renewed determination, solidifying the public's support for peace. With the warmongers neutralized, the peace talks resumed with renewed vigor. The delegates, freed from the shadow of manipulation, worked tirelessly to forge a lasting treaty. Anya and Ember served as mediators, their presence a constant reminder of the bond that had brought them together. They helped bridge the gaps in understanding, fostering a sense of shared purpose and mutual respect. The treaty signing ceremony was a momentous occasion, attended by representatives from both human and dragon communities. Anya and Ember stood side by side, their hands clasped in a symbol of unity, as the leaders of both worlds put their seals on the document. The treaty outlined the terms of peace, establishing mutual respect, cooperation, and an end to hostilities. It also established channels for communication and collaboration, ensuring that future disagreements could be resolved peacefully. As the final signature was affixed, a collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. 1,000 years of war had finally come to an end. The air was filled with a newfound sense of hope, a belief that a brighter future was possible. Anya and Ember's bond had sparked a revolution, not of violence and bloodshed, but of empathy and understanding. They had challenged the deeply ingrained prejudices of their people, forging a path towards reconciliation and unity. In the years that followed, Anya and Ember became ambassadors of peace, traveling between human and dragon communities to foster understanding and cooperation. They shared their story, inspiring others to look beyond their differences and embrace the common ground that connected them. The Whispering Woods, once a place of fear and isolation, transformed into a sanctuary of unity. Humans and dragons came together to learn from each other, to share their knowledge and traditions, to build a new future based on mutual respect. Anya and Ember's friendship, forged in the crucible of war, became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of connection and the unwavering spirit of those who dared to believe in a better world. Their story echoed through the ages, a reminder that even the deepest wounds can heal, and that the most unlikely alliances can blossom into lasting peace. The Dragon War was not just a tale of conflict and resolution, but a story of transformation, of two individuals who defied the odds and changed the course of history. It was a reminder that empathy, understanding, and the courage to challenge the status quo could pave the way for a brighter future, where even the most ancient of enemies could become allies, and where peace could reign supreme.